Wow, wow, wow. There's something going on in Minnesota, and I don't think people are talking about it enough. I don't know whether they're scared to talk about it, whether they feel as though they're just hallucinating and it's just a mirage or just seeing something that they don't really think they're seeing. But since everyone's afraid to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it today. What's up? It's your boy Heaven Hollywood. Welcome back to another edition of the Sport Fanatic NBA Talk. Let's get right into it. Make sure that you like the video, please. Make sure you subscribe if you're not a subscriber. The Minnesota Timberwolves, right now in the Northwest Division, they sit at 38-16. They are one game ahead of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's sitting at 37-17, and the Denver Nuggets, who sit at 36-18. The Minnesota Timberwolves are right now they have the best away record of any team, I would say, in the Western Conference. They're 19-11 away from the Target Center or whatever. I guess it's still called the Target Center. They're 26-8 in the conference. They're 7-2 in the division. 19-5 at home. They've won 3 straight. So people ask, what is there to talk about? Because I don't think, it's two things. I don't think people realize what's taking place. They're trying to ignore it. And we found out why and what's happening with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So batten down the hatchets, because we're going to expose it today. If you take a look at the Minnesota Timberwolves schedule and what they've done so far, all right? Let's go back. The Minnesota Timberwolves, right? We're going to do the full schedule. As you all know, the star is Anthony Edwards. Karl Anthony Towns is, like, I would say, the second star. And if I had to pick a third star, it'd have to be Rudy Gobert. Of course, they have the veteran Mike Conley there, right? Let's see. So far, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves, they started out the season, right? They lost to the Toronto Raptors. When you look back at the Minnesota Timberwolves, they gave the Denver Nuggets their first loss back on November 1st. They beat them 110-89. They then beat the Boston Celtics in overtime, 114-109. They beat the New Orleans Pelicans, 122-101. That was on November 8th. They then beat the Golden State Warriors back-to-back, 116-110, and then 104-101. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers on November 22nd when Joel Embiid was still there, 112-99. They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder November 28th, 106-103. They then beat the Dallas Mavericks 119-101 on December 14th. They beat the Indiana Pacers 127-109 and then follow that up with the Miami Heat 112-108. They beat the Los Angeles Lakers 118-111 on December 21st. They beat Dallas again. They beat the Lakers again. They beat the Clippers 109-105 on January 14th. They beat Dallas again 121-87. They destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks 129-105 on February 8th and followed that up with another 20-point victory against the Clippers in LA. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Did you notice everything that I read off there? Those were all the teams right now that are in playoff contention and that people consider the top teams in the NBA. The Minnesota Timberwolves have beaten them all at least once. Because back in December 23rd, they beat the Sacramento Kings 110-98. At least once they have beaten all of the playoff teams. I saw Chris Broussard speaking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he said, yeah, they're doing good, but they're young. Well, Chris Broussard, the Minnesota Timberwolves are not really young. Their star, their superstar to be, Anthony Edwards, is young. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, the core of their team, is not young. Mike Conley is 36. Rudy Gobert is 31 with a lot of playoff experience. And Karl Anthony Towns is 28. Yes, Anthony Edwards is 22. Kyle Anderson plays a big part in that team. He's 30. He's and a champion. Monty Moore comes off the bench. He's 28. So, yes, Naz Reid is young, off the bench, 24. And so is Jaden McDaniels at 23. And then we got Anthony Edwards. But all in all, the core of that team is not that young. I think people are so used to the Timberwolves just getting to the playoffs that they're not really taking this team very seriously. They are big, bad, and nasty. They are defying all that talk about, oh, the big man is no longer a use in the NBA because Rudy Gobert, he don't shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes. Remember they said, oh, they're going to, you take Gobert up. Guys like Gobert, they're going to take out of the league because they're really of no use. Well, right now, Rudy Gobert is averaging 14 points, 12.5 rebounds, shooting 64% from the field. And he is once again up for Defensive Player of the Year. And he can't shoot a lick. Hell, he's even shooting 64% from the free throw line. But then I found out, I spoke to one of my people, shout out to my boy Trez, down there working the circuit in Minnesota. And he told me, and I didn't mention this before, Rudy Gobert, before they played the Denver Nuggets, he goes and watches the player that has the most success against the guy he's going to be playing. And that is Nikola Jokic. And the guy that has the best success against Nikola Jokic is Dwight Howard. So what Rudy Gobert is doing is going to get old tapes and videos, and he watches how Dwight Howard guarded Nikola Jokic. And he does the exact same thing, or to the best of his ability. As far as the angles, as far as when he brings him up high, as far as, where he rubs, what screen, whether he goes under or over a screen that might be set, right? How much feet and room to give Jokic so that if he does shoot a three, he's crowded. And they do that for all of the stars of the team that they're playing. For instance, Jaden McDaniel will guard Kawhi Leonard most of the time when they play. Sometimes they'll put Anthony Edwards on, but Anthony Edwards will probably guard Paul George. But Jaden McDaniel, they go and find out who has the most success in a astronomical amount of games, like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kawhi Leonard averages 22 points against Giannis. Now, of course, Jaden McDaniel is not the defender that Giannis is. But what they do is they go and get all the tapes of when Giannis has been successful against Kawhi Leonard and what he's done to be successful against Kawhi Leonard. And they have that, they incorporate that into their tape, to their film. That's the reason why when Rudy Gobert has played Denver and when he's played Jokic, right? The last couple of times, it's been a struggle. Now, of course, you're never going to shut anyone down. He's not going to shut him down. But because they're doing that, and they're doing that for all of the stars on the team, nobody else is doing that. Now, hopefully I haven't blown their cover, but it does say expose. I have to expose what they're doing. People don't understand that. The Minnesota Timberwolves have something going on there. And I don't want to hear about they're young, so nobody's paying attention. You better start paying attention. They're the best defensive team in the league. In the league. They're the best defensive team in the league right now. Rudy Gobert is once again one of the best defenders in the league. So when people are saying, when they talk about, like I hear people talk about the Lakers and they go, other than Denver and maybe the Clippers, I would take LeBron and AD over everybody else in a 7-game series. I don't know about that. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, the way they're playing, you have to remember, the Lakers struggled in their playing game against the Timberwolves. And remember, the Timberwolves was missing Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniel, weren't they? And didn't the Lakers have to go to overtime to beat the Timberwolves in that playing game, if I remember correctly? Well, they got all their guns back, right? They got all their guns back. And this team is a problem. So remember that I told y'all this on February 14th, 2024. It's my Valentine's Day gift to all the fans of all the other teams out there. Y'all better start looking in on the Minnesota Timberwolves, because they are no joke. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood. This has been another edition of the Sports Fanatic NBA Talk.